Hello, everyone who is watching us right now. My name is Leila. I'm a UX designer at Eagle Software, and I joined the company just recently, but I have more than 3 years experience in UX design. I come from a marketing background, and to be honest, it helps a lot when it comes to market research and understanding the pain points of the target audience and making their experience with the product easy, friendly, and returnable. Today's session, I will be doing along with my colleague, Enejan, and I'm going to pass it over to her to quickly introduce herself before we dive into our presentation.
Hi everyone, I'm Enejan. I'm a junior web publisher at PokerStars, but I'm a big UX design, UI design enthusiast. I really enjoyed doing prototyping and design stuff, even at uni when we were building projects. So I'm really excited to be talking about the prototyping today with Leila. And yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, now that you know that you are in the right hands of two UX design enthusiasts, let's begin our session. So this session will be fully dedicated to prototyping. However, we wanted to emphasize on market research, do some sort of a recap from the previous session, talk about the prototyping, what it is, why it is important, and what prototyping tools you can use in order to make your product function. We will also cover some of the UI patterns, introduce you to a little assignment that you need to work on, and that would kind of help you to do your prototypes and share some bonus at the end of this session so that you get not only the knowledge, but also have some sweet taste in the end. So from the previous session, you should have done your market research that included competitors analysis as well as the user research. I wanted to kind of emphasize here saying that it is very crucial to analyze the market before you build your product so that you know what is happening out there and how you can use the weak points of your competitors to build better product of yourself. And another thing is that you have to know why it is important to know your users. Well, it kind of helps you to make a product that your customers actually want, not that what you want. So for any product and services to succeed, you need to know what your user want as early as possible in your design process. And this is where the UX research comes. And for many businesses, it is kind of important that appearance, functionality, and price, they are kind of traditionally what businesses focused when competing with other products. But basically what differentiates a product now is how good it feels for someone to use your product and how this experience meets and hopefully exceeds their expectations. This is what we talk about when it comes to user experience. And that's why it is important to find out from actual real life honest users why they want and what exactly they expect from your product. And to kind of sum up and move on to the next kind of slide in this presentation, I just wanted to make sure that you really know what your user wants and needs before you actually start prototyping your idea.
As Leila said, it's really, really important to know your user, to know your target audience, and because you're designing for them, for your clients, for your stakeholders. So make sure you do your market research, make sure you know your target audience, and make sure you have done the user experience. But we also strongly recommend you to watch the previous sections, especially session on minimum viable product, because you have to know what app you're building and what the main features of your app will be before you start prototyping it. So if you haven't done it yet, go out and check the minimum viable product sessions. And once you have your idea on your minimum viable product, you can start designing your app and creating a prototype. So what is a prototype? Prototype is basically an early version of your app. So in any project, you will have this model, this prototype of your app before you start creating it. Let's say you're building a house. Before you start building it, you will plan it in your head, you will sketch it, you'll create a model, and you will think about how many rooms it will have. You'll think about where the bathroom will be, where the kitchen will be, so whether it will have 2 floors or 1 floor. So you'll think about all that. You will sketch it down, plan it, and see whether it's in your budget, whether it's possible to build such building such a house. It's the same when it comes to creating apps. You need to think about a lot of things before you start building your app. And prototypes really help with that, because it allows you to visualize your ideas and just put it out there. And you can do that through screen sketches, so paper prototyping. Don't worry if you don't know about some of these things. We will go over each and every one of them, provide some examples. So prototype can be a lot of things. It can be a screen of sketches. It can be just a paper prototype. And all you need to create this type of prototype is just a pen and a paper. So if you have the opportunity to come together with your team, if you can meet with your teammates, this is the best way to start creating a prototype for your app. And what you will do is you will just think about all the features, all the main features of your app, and you will start creating the screens. It's basically like a screenshot of your app. You don't have to be you don't have to be good at sketching. You don't have to be good at it. Like, these examples are very clean versions of prototypes, but obviously it will be messy at first. It's just, you don't have to think about making it really nice. All you just need is put all your ideas down and create different screens for your apps. Think about the features that you want to create and think about different screens. Think about pages that you want to have and start creating those pages. There are different ways to create your paper prototype. Obviously, you can use sticky notes to make it easier. For example, you don't have to draw every single screen. If there's a small change in the screen, you can do that through sticky notes. You can do it through colorful papers. There's a really good tutorial on creating paper prototypes. It is from the Technovation girls website. I really recommend you to go and check it out to see how companies like Google create prototypes, so that all the big companies also use tools like this to create their prototypes at first. Storyboarding is a really good tool to understand the situation in which your app can be used. It allows you to come up with the scenarios where your app will be used, to show to your stakeholders. Maybe you wanted to explain others where your app will be used, how it will be used. For example, in this storyboard, we can see that this app helps people to connect. It sends a notification to the friends and relatives of a person, telling them to check up on them. So let's say if you have a friend who's struggling and who lives alone, for example, or any other thing, this app sends you notifications from time to time asking if you want to call him, would you like to check up on him? And this is a really good way to show a situation, a scenario where your app can be used, and how it will be used, how it will work. And it also helps you to understand situations where your project can be used. obviously you don't have to be really good at drawing. It can just be this kind of like sticky people. It just the main point of storyboarding is to create scenarios and to explain when and where your app will be used. So you don't have to be good at sketching. The main point is just to visualize the idea. You can create your prototypes on PowerPoint. PowerPoint has these features that you can use to create your prototypes. There, you can also create your prototype like this on PowerPoint. For example, you will put a screen on each slide, and then you can connect slides to each other. For example, when you click something, it would go to another slide showing the interaction that your app will have. And obviously, they're not the only ways. You can also use different digital tools, and Leila will go over different digital prototyping tools that you can use.
Okay, so we basically wanted to kind of briefly introduce you to some of the famous prototyping tools that are very popular amongst UX designers, so that you can decide which one is more suitable for you, your team, and all collaborative work that you will be doing all together. So first one is Sketch. It is mostly used on Macs, and the files can be shared with multiple members. It's a bit costly depending on your budget. You need to make sure that you kind of cover these expenses, but it is good for quickly designing the screens and build the prototype. The second one is Figma, and honestly, this one is one of my favorites. It has many tools you can use, not only for UX design and prototyping, but also for your daily work life. For example, if you would like to create some presentation slides, you can rely on Figma and do that very easily and quickly, utilizing the tools that Figma offers to its users. And Figma also gives the access to the libraries with ready-to-use elements that makes your design process easy and kind of fun and interactive, and also very creative. Another app is Envision, and it is also a great tool to build your prototype, share the link with your stakeholders to quickly collect the feedback, and then move on with the feedback applying on your design, and then move to the next step on the development of your idea. Adobe XD, it is kind of similar to Figma and Sketch, and it's mostly used to create design screens and prototypes. Also, it has icons and other libraries, so you can use them to access and get some inspiration or use them in your work. The Zeppelin, that's another app that is mostly used by designers, UX designers, and developers for easy communication, so that you can basically create your files in let's say Sketch, and then transfer them to Zeppelin and share the link with your developers. So in that way, they will be able to kind of see what is the how the design, the future design will look like, and what are the like user flows your product may have. So then they will be easily access the coding portion as well, because I think Zeppelin is kind of great for developers because it kind of gives pre-written codes on certain portions of your like design screens that you build, so then they don't have to code the entire screen themselves. And last but not least, we wanted to introduce you to Marvel app. Marvel has basically everything you need to bring your ideas to life and transform how you create the digital product yourself and also with your team. This app can be accessed not only through the web, but also on your mobile phones. we kind of highly recommend you using this app to build your prototype, as its interface is very intuitive and you don't have to watch like many tutorials to understand how exactly to use this tool in order to build your prototype and share the design with your team and the stakeholders such as users to kind of collect the feedback from them. I'm going to pass it over to Enejan so then she could take it from here.
So as we said, as Leila said, we really recommend you to, if you're a beginner, to start with a Marvel app. This is the interface of Marvel app. You can access it on the web, so it's on the website, or you can download the app as well. It's very intuitive. It has a very clear skin, as you can see the screen, and the good thing about this is, about digital tools in general, you have ready templates, and you don't have to draw everything from scratch. So let's say you're creating a paper prototype. You are drawing lots of screens, but with digital tools like this, you already have all those things. So in this screen, you can see a login login page. You will have this these buttons and this login screen already available on Marvel app. So all you need is just to drag and drop it onto your screen. So it works just like that. It's very easy, it's very simple, and it has a lot of ready templates and ready app features that you can use on your app. Again, the main goal is to create your prototype, your first prototype. You don't have to think about all the designs, all the little things, colors, and everything right now. Right now, you just need to focus on creating the main features of your app, whether it will have registration, whether you will need to get some data from users, whether you will need to create many pages for some functionality. So just think about that, and Marvel app is a good way, especially if you're working online with your team. If you cannot meet up with your team, this is a really good tool to use because you can work online, you can share your designs like this. The only thing is you will need a computer and an internet to access Marvel app. But in the end, you can also link your screens to each other. So let's say you created the main page, home page, and then you created other pages. So when you click book appointment, it would lead to the other page that you created. And then when you click something in there, it would lead to another page. Marvel app allows that too. So in the end, you can link those pages and see how it works, see how it would work if you finish creating the whole product. You can also test it with your friends, with your teammates, with your stakeholders, clients. You can present it to them and ask them to go through the app and see where they click, how they understand, and whether they find it user-friendly, easy to use, and so on. So it's a really good tool to use. Let's say you don't have the internet connection, or you can't use the digital tools due to some reasons. You can still get a clickable version of your app. You can draw all those features just like you would do in any paper prototyping, and you can take pictures of it. You can take pictures of you clicking on them, or you can take a video of the whole process all together. You can create these, and then you can upload them on. There are different tools that allows you to link different images. You can even do it on PowerPoint. You can upload all the paper sketches of your app, and then you can link each page to different screens. So this is a video of demonstrating Marvel app, just to show you an example of how your app could look like in the end. So as you can see, different screens were created on Marvel app, and they were linked together. So when the user goes through and does something, it leads to another thing. It shows the overall features, what will happen when you do this, and overall, it's a good way to show your prototype to your stakeholders or to test it with anyone you like. So we go back. For all the teams who are creating AI projects, you might want to create a cardboard, like a physical prototype of your app. For that, you can use cardboards. You can just cut the cardboards, create a physical prototype of your app. It doesn't always have to be a cardboard. You can literally use anything. You can use Legos. You can use anything that would allow you to create a physical prototype of your app. And the easiest way to do it is using cardboards. There's a really good cardboard prototyping tutorial. It's from the Technovation girls website as well. And it gives you some tips on creating your cardboard prototype if you're creating an artificial intelligence project. So why is it important? Why do we need to create these prototypes? First of all, it's a good way. It allows you to interact with your app. An earlier version of it. It allows you to visualize your ideas. And in that way, you can see what works, what doesn't work, whether you need to change it, because the first app, it will not be your final one. Your product will go through many changes, and it's always easier to do it during the prototyping stage, because once you build the product, once you code the product, it will be a lot harder for you to change things. Let's say you want to add, you think that certain things don't work, so you want to remove them, or you want to add more features. It's a lot difficult when you already start coding your app. So this prototyping helps to see and to test your app. It allows you to get feedback and evaluate your design. So once you finish designing your app, you can see whether it's intuitive, whether your target audience can understand it. So let's say you're building an app for school students. You can test your prototype with school students and see whether they understand your app, whether they know which screen, whether they know what certain feature does, and whether they can easily understand and use your app. You can test all that, and it's a really good way to communicate effectively with your team members, so that you can all come together and share your ideas, sketch them, present it to each other, and just see what you want to implement and what not. You can also, prototyping helps with answering questions, because you will need to test it before you start building your app. And that you can do through testing and through feedback from your stakeholders, from your teammates, from your parents, from everyone around you. So it is a really good way to test your app before you start building it. And it's an important part of app development. Yeah. Also, when you're building a prototype, it's good to keep in mind UI patterns, and Leila will go over what they are and why we can use them, how.
Okay, so when it comes to UI pattern, it's basically in UX UI world, we kind of call them our best friends, because in some way they do help us to avoid reinventing the wheel and then apply the ready to use patterns in our designs. So you basically can apply whatever is already being used by many companies and very intuitive to users into your design. So then you don't have to spend a lot of time on understanding how exactly certain screens should look like. So for example, when you go to the login screen, if in your research, in your user research, you found out that your users mostly use, let's say, Google or any other social media, you have to look for those login screens to find out the patterns and then apply those designs into your own design, so that whenever your user is going to use your app, they will be easily able to figure out how exactly they have to log into the app and start using it. And basically, when it comes to UI pattern, we have to remember that it's not just common features that we simply copy and paste into the interface. It is more of a visual strategies for us UX UI designers to quickly and efficiently solve common UI design problems. And as you can see on the screen, we kind of listed most common UI design patterns. And I just wanted to share some of them. So for example, when it comes to social sharing, what we mean here is that these patterns, they kind of facilitate the promotion and sharing of content onto various social media platforms. So for example, you may have noticed that when you go on a website or any, like on an app, you see some sort of a blog or article, and then either in the end or somewhere on the side, you see the social media icons that allow you to easily and quickly share this content on various social medias. When it comes to navigation, for example, these patterns, they help guide users around the interface that kind of ensure them that they are able to find their way back to the homepage if they get lost. So navigation, for example, when you go on a website, you see the navigation bar on the top of the screen. So it kind of gives you an idea what exactly you can find on the website. And even if you are scroll down like till the end, you can easily kind of go back to the navigation and go to other pages that you would like to go, or like kind of browse throughout the website and find what you were looking for. Same comes to the mobile app. When you go to mobile app, you kind of see the navigation bar on the bottom that kind of gives you a quick and short access to certain screens on the mobile app. When it comes to input and output, it's more of a about the patterns that include different forms that allow the users to submit the information, receive the feedback from the website on an action. For example, if there is a form, let's say you are on the website and there's a contact form, so you see the contact form with certain fields that you need to fill out. So this is depending on what your business, the company does, the fields may differ, but they usually are common when it comes to adding like certain information, then click on the submit or request buttons that goes to the admin side, and then the communication starts with the user. And the last one we wanted to kind of touch here is that the content structure. This basically patterns that mostly talk about the site and how exactly it is organized in the way that it feels intuitive and accessible, similar to navigation. So you basically structure your content in the way that it is easy for the user to kind of understand how to read the content from up to the bottom. So it should be like organized in a certain way that, let's say there is a heading. So heading, you do differentiate the heading from the main content, so it's kind of easy for the user not scroll through a lot of like words at one time, but they are kind of separated from the main info from the secondary info, so it's easy for the user to consume the content on your website or mobile app or any other platform that you use to communicate with the users. And for you, we also kind of added some links that you can go and check some of the common UI patterns so that you can get some inspiration for your own product and understand how exactly these UI patterns can be applied on your product. And if you find that this is something that it is like suitable for your product based on the research that you also done, you can go ahead and apply them. There is no like restriction on them, because this is something that is commonly used in the UX UI world. But it also, of course, it depends on the theme and styling that you're going to apply on your product. So you simply cannot copy paste. You still have to readjust it to the branding that your company and product has, that kind of will be recognized easily by your users. And
yeah,
I think, yes, I'm kind of done with this. Just wanted to remind about the links that we're going to share here. And Enejan was also talking about the cardboarding when it comes to UI products. So I guess you can access the last link here about the cardboarding prototype to kind of get an idea how exactly you can use certain tools to prototype your product.
yes. That's for AI projects. If anyone is interested on creating cardboard prototypes, and what kind of conventions there are for those as well. Thank you, Leila, for sharing that. Here, I just want to show an example of this. So your first prototype will not be your last one. And so this is, for example, this was the first sketch of the app. And as you can see, you don't see a lot of things in here, but over time, you will be improving it. And then as you can see, this one has a menu, like navigation underneath it. This is also an example of a convention of a UI pattern, because it's so, people are used to seeing this downwards tab, this navigation. This kind of navigation is very similar, and a lot of people know how they work. So using those UI patterns can help your app and make it easier for the users to understand how it works. But also, don't worry if you don't have everything in your first prototype. Just take it slow, and it's just about experimenting. Experiment with your ideas, create them, and then just go over them. And overall, it will improve. So let's. Oh, so the next one, we wanted to ask you to work on your own designs.
Yes, we want to ask you to use one of the prototyping tools that we've discussed today to kind of start working on your own idea, or it can be either your own product, or it can be something silly or something easy, just so that you could familiarize yourself with the tools and pick the one that most suits your needs and capabilities. And those kind of tools and assignments you can find on Technovation official website. There is paper
yes.
simulator for you.
There is there's this page that we would like you to use if you're creating a paper prototype. You can use this page, or you can literally print out any phone screen, the background of any phone. And then we want you to create your own designs, your own screens, and just sketch them out. And that will be your assignment. If obviously, feel free to use digital tools, any of the digital tools that we discussed today. But the easiest way for to do prototypes would be paper prototyping. So feel free to use this page to create your paper prototypes. Obviously, you'll need to print out many of them to create based on the number of the pages you have. But overall, feel free to use any of the tools that we've discussed today, and share it with us. Mm-hmm. We would be more than happy to help you and to check your prototypes and give advice. Especially Leila is very experienced in this, yeah. And she will know more on how to perfect your design and how to what to do and what not to do. So do your designs, create prototypes. Doesn't have to be perfect, just create the first version of your app, just the main features. Don't think about all the details, just the main features, and then send it to us. We have included our contact details here, LinkedIn profile, and you feel free to reach out to us and to check out all the other sessions.
Yes, we can. We also encourage you to subscribe to our Technovation Girls YouTube channel, so that you would be able to access all the previous sessions that have been done so far, and even this one we will be uploading once the session is over. So in case if you missed something, you can always come back here and rewatch all the sessions that you are mostly interested in. And yes, and I guess this is kind of end of the. I feel this is the end of the session, and we really wish you a big luck, good luck with your designing prototypes. And to be honest, I really cannot wait to see what exactly you've come up with. And as Enejan said, feel free to reach out to us using the contact information we provided with any questions when it comes to prototyping, user research, or anything you feel that it is like in our expertise that we shared with you today.
Yes, yeah, we will be sharing this presentation with you, so you can find all the links that we have provided today in today's session. And we really can't wait to see the designs of your apps. And it's really exciting to see how you're all working. And yeah, send your designs to us and we'll be more than happy to check them out. Good luck to all the teams in this season of Technovation Girls. And yeah, well done so far, everyone.
Good luck.
Yes,
Good luck, everyone.